It's been around for a long time. It's not a brand new product. It's been around for a long time, but it is really gaining a lot of popularity as of now.
Yeah, man. So I've really enjoyed, like, over the last few years, just the amount of opportunities we've had to install some metal roofs, and you and I together, we've installed thousands of squares of stone coated steel at this point.
Yeah.
And it's cool that, you know, towards the middle of this year, we had some opportunities to get into the Provia metal, and they're both really good options. The stone coated steel options and the Provia, you know, four-way locking, you know, metal options that they have, and just really exciting stuff. And I'm a big fan of the Provia interlocking system, and I'm also a big fan of the stone coated steel. You know, so like, what are you seeing out there, you know, with the stone coated steel, and like, is there anything exciting about the Provia that you're into?
Yeah, absolutely. With the stone coated steel, it's been around for a long time. It's not a brand new product. It's been around for a long time, but it is really gaining a lot of popularity as of now. And a lot of people are choosing to switch their concrete tiles over to stone coated steel. It's a much more efficient system, watertight system, and requires no maintenance like a concrete tile. And
What do you think made that switch? Like, why would you think that people are starting to see the metal now?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going with metal roof for a couple of reasons. Well, a lot of people have paid a lot of money to do tile repairs over the course of which I've done hundreds and hundreds of tile repairs. So a lot of people are tired of paying for tile repairs. And then also insurance is definitely a factor. And people telling homeowners that they have to replace their tile roof after 20 some years just because it's a tile roof as opposed to a metal roof. They won't have to worry about it again. Also the maintenance of it, there's no maintenance required as there is with a concrete tile roof.
Yeah. Over the last couple of years, there's been a few instances on, like, stone coated steel where we've had to go out and maybe make some corrections. Not on roofs that we've done. Like, the manufacturers called us and referred us really over to these different clients to go do some repairs. There was one instance, remember that one building, the stairway caught on fire?
Yeah.
And all the wood was gone, but the metal was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about that. Like, what was that repair like?
Yeah, so this one, there was different contractors out there doing work, and one of the saws made a bunch of sparks, and it caught the inside of the roof on fire, and the whole decking on the inside was destroyed. But it was kind of hard to tell because this was just sitting on top of it, and it was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't burnt up at all, so we had to go in there. But all we had to do is technically we didn't even need replacement panels because it was fine, but the company Unified Steel that we were using actually paid to get replacement panels out there, and all we had to do was go pop off those couple of panels that were above that fire area. We repair what we needed to on the wood, and we just popped back in the new panels that the manufacturer provided for us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's something that is really cool about the stone coated steel. You know, the panels, they overlap each other. So, you know, it's watertight. It doesn't let water in. But in the event that there is a repair, they're pretty easy to do repairs on. I remember another time there was a big tree that landed on someone's house, and we had put in a black stone coated steel, and it was a couple years later the tree hit, and we were able to replace like 8 panels. No big deal. There was a slight color difference just because it was a few years old versus a brand new panel. Yeah. But if you go by there today, you would not even know that we swapped them out, which is really nice. So when it comes to repairs on the Provia, have you, like, thought about, or like, the uniqueness on what that would look like? Because, you know, the stone coated steel, they overlap, and then there's an exposed fastener, so you can easily just undo the screws. But Provia, it's a 4-way interlocking system, and no screws are seen. Mm-hmm. So, like, if there is a repair, like, what do you think we need to do with that?
Yeah, great question. It's essentially it's the same process where you take off a panel and pop in a new panel. Okay. It's just compared to the exposed fastener on this one. This one is a real quick, take out the screws, pop it in. This one just takes about 2 extra steps. You just gotta unfold and fold back the seam that's on it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like interlocking siding. There's a tool that you can actually use to to unclip it?
It is almost identical to replacing a piece of vinyl siding.
Okay, nice. But obviously it's metal, so it takes a
Yeah.
little bit of an extra hand to get in there.
Yeah.
But a spot repair isn't impossible, which is really awesome.
No, it's it's take out one panel, replace one panel if that's all it needs.
Yeah, that was something that I was concerned about when I was looking into this was, what about repairs? Because, metal roofs, you don't necessarily need to think about maintenance or repairs in the future. But there are things like act of gods, trees landing on homes or fires, catching on the inside of the house. Two random things that we couldn't have controlled. But we had to do, those are spot repair areas. And that was something I was concerned about. But Provia specifically, they think about everything. They have an entire guide and videos on how do you actually spot repair these panels, which is pretty amazing. And so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, Provia, they have so much information to help not only homeowners, but contractors like us to make sure we're doing the right thing for our clients in terms of if it needs a patch or a repair. There's tons of information to make sure we're doing it the right way, and then we can still honor that warranty on that roofing system. Yeah.
So something that is a difference, other than just like the aesthetics of the panels, there's a different look to them. One has stone, one like actually looks like it's a real piece of stone or a piece of wood or even a clay tile that they have as well. But when it comes to the installation, like talk to me and talk to the people maybe listening to this, like what is the difference between a direct to deck and a batten system? And like, can I do them both on both products?
So the difference between a direct to deck and a batten system is what a batten is a piece of wood that sits on top of the deck of the roof. Okay. So it goes the deck, the underlayment goes on top of the deck, and on top of the underlayment is a batten. So it can come in different sizes, but it's a piece of wood that goes horizontally across the roof, and the roof sits on that to essentially provide dead airspace between the metal itself and the roof deck to provide an invisible layer of insulation. Okay. So on the answer to can you do it on both of them is yes and no. So on certain profiles of the stone coated steel, any profile that looks like a tile, I highly recommend going with the batten system. It's a great system. It's designed for the batten system. You can do it without it, but there's no reason to do it without it.
Right.
And then for Provia, it is not in the specs to use a batten system. And the reason you don't need a batten system with it is because of how it's designed. It already has that dead airspace in there. And the way the roof ventilates, it does not require the battens, and that's how it's spec'd out from Provia itself.
Okay. So something that I know that we've been asked a lot is, are these metal roofs loud?
Yeah, I get that asked that all the time, because when people think of a metal roof, they think, tiki hut sitting at the beach, raining metal roof, pop, 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 pop. And no, that's just not the case. It's gonna be the same amount of noise as your shingle or tile roof.
Yeah. That's been my experience too. Like even in my own house, I have a shingle roof and vaulted ceilings, and when it rains, you hear it. I mean, it's not like it's any quieter. But I have seen, metal. It's metal. I mean, it's loud. I mean, there's noise to it. By itself, it could be loud, but when it's on the roof system, you're not hearing anything different, and it's quite nice. But something that I've really enjoyed about the metal roofs is that callbacks. We've installed metal roofs. And we've had a number of hurricanes and big storms. And, here in Florida, you have a Tuesday hurricane that passes through, and it's just our typical 3 o'clock rain. And we've had some people call in about, some leaks or whatever the case may be on their roofs that are tiles or the roofs that are shingles. But we never really get calls about metal roofs and leaks. And that's something that excites me personally, is that we actually get to provide a product that will last. And it's probably unique to a roofer, out there. We're putting in roofs that we don't ever want to see again. And so that's something that excites me about the metal personally. And what do you think about that metal, like kind of versus like a shingle roof or a tile roof?
Yeah, we really haven't gotten any callbacks, because with a shingle and tile roof, you can do everything right, but we have a pretty unique climate in Florida where we get all this wind-driven rain constantly, like every day during the summer, basically. Like you said, these little mini hurricanes that just come out of nowhere. So even if you do everything right, just the kind of weather we have, you need something that's going to keep the water out completely. And only a metal roof keeps the water out completely from penetrating down to the underlayment.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, last topic before we get going. Exposed fastener metal systems versus a hidden fastener metal system. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, in terms of quality, I would say there's no difference in the quality. Exposed fastener versus a hidden fastener. With the exposed fastener, one point is when you're doing a replacement of a couple of panels, it's going to be slightly faster, but that's about it. And then as well with a lot of people think exposed fastener, like when you see on a standing seam, you see all those big screws just all over the roof, big lines of screws. And that's just not the case on the stone coated. You'll never even see the screws because of how they're fastened in there, and they're also colored to match the color of your panel itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this McKinley Pro Roof Talk Show. Hey, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to hear more talks like this. We're gonna go across all product lines, roofing, windows, doors, and we might even come into your home and talk about some good solutions there as well.